Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do another Scientology Spy Files, and in today's document we're going to be talking about a guy named Eric Geisler. Now, Eric Geisler is actually somebody that I have known almost since we moved to Los Angeles in 1979, maybe early 1980. Is when I met Eric. We were both little kids, and my dad worked for his dad, and or his parents had a company, like a makeup, hair, female accessories company. They sold these little makeup, little caps that screwed into each other, and then they sold like hair accessories. And so I would say I've known Eric since I was about 7 years old. Eric went to Delphi, Oregon, which is a Scientology school in Sheridan, Oregon. And I went to Delphi, Los Angeles. And so we knew each other. A lot of the Delphi kids knew each other. And so yeah, we stayed in touch for many, many years. We were basically revolving in the same circles. And for a while, my mom was actually dating his uncle. So, his uncle. Yeah, I think his uncle. Yeah. There was some familial connection for a while as well. And the uncle lived just a few blocks from where Eric lived. So I'd go over and play at his house and stuff like that. So this person, Eric, I knew since I was 7, and we both went to Scientology schools. And then he ended up getting into the film and video industry in Los Angeles when I went off to work at Golden Era Productions, which is Scientology's media production company in the middle of the California desert. And I want to say maybe a year or two after I had arrived at Golden Era Productions and was working there, Eric had joined the Sea organization, signed his billion-year contract, and then he also ended up working at Golden Era Productions in the visual effects department there. And so we worked. I knew him since I was 7, and then when I was about 16, I went to the international headquarters, and then I worked with him there on a pretty regular basis until probably for about 14 years, until 2004, when he escaped from the international headquarters. And so when I escaped afterwards, he got in touch with me when I was living in Kansas City, and then he convinced me to move back to Los Angeles from Kansas City and work as a production manager for a company that he was working at. And so that is how, that's basically what's leading up to now. So I worked at that one production, as a production manager at that one company. And then I went over to another company that he was working at. And that is where we were in the visual effects department of a movie studio that made TV movies of the week for the Hallmark Channel and movies like that. And Eric was over the visual effects. I think he was over the 3D visual effects. And I was like I don't know exactly what you call it or what you would call it, but I was basically the one who got all the shots in, and then got the shots done, and then turned them back over to the editing and production team that's editing and producing the movie. And so that's where I was working when this document takes place, and where Eric starts meeting with the Office of Special Affairs. Now, the person that's meeting with Eric in these documents is a girl by the name of Kirsten. And Kirsten's come up in some of the very beginning spy files. She was the one writing the reports. And then because things were not getting done and things were getting screwed up, she got kind of taken off of that. And then the commanding officer, or the deputy commanding officer of Office of Special Affairs, then took over writing the reports. So in these documents, Kirsten is the one meeting with Eric. And Kirsten's post is the external security chief, OSA Int. And her whole job is to basically handle threats from people against Scientology that are attacking or doing anything against Scientology. And the main person that she deals with, 90% of the people that she deals with, are Scientologists and ex-Scientologists or ex-Sea Org members. So she knows all these people. She's in some cases even worked with some of these people. And so, yeah, I knew Kirsten when I used to work in Los Angeles. Kirsten's about my age. She might even be a little younger than I am, because when I was at the Association for Better Living and Education, which is this Scientology Sea organization that runs all the front groups, Narconon, Criminon, Applied Scholastics, and The Way to Happiness. And Kirsten was working at OSA at that time in 1989. So I've known Kirsten since 1889. So that's all the prep you need for this, and we're going to get into it. Sorry, there's some redactions in this. There's some companies and some names in this that I don't want to say. They don't have anything to do with any of this. It's some people that happen to work with, and we're not going to say the company names or the personal names. So if you see, I'll just say blank company or blank person in place of the redacted names. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this document is from May 1st. The same, actually, I think the documents that we did yesterday in the last Spy Files were from May 1st, and this is a continuation of those. Eric Geisler. I spoke with Eric this morning regarding blank company. He said that he got involved in this about 6 to 7 months ago. Blank person had previously approached him, Eric, about going into business together, but he said no, claiming that he told blank person that he, blank person, had been too off the deep end. Blank person went off his lines, but then got back in comm with Eric about 8 months ago and said that he had chilled out and wanted to know if he was interested in doing some kind of work together. At this time, Eric didn't have anything, but then when he started blank company, he got in comm with blank person and they agreed to go in as investors. Blank company is a studio that was going out of business, so Eric and two wogs, that's what Scientologists call non-Scientologists. It's like muggles. Blank company is a studio that was going out of business, so Eric and two wogs got involved putting it back together. It is an animation and SFX studio. Initially, blank person put in about $10,000. He then started spending more and more money on his own credit cards without any kind of agreement to fix up the studio. Blank person was insisting on being a partner in the company, which Eric and his WOG partners didn't want due to the blank person mental state. Eric said blank person kept doing things and spending money, and that he had not gotten agreement on doing, and that Eric and his two WOG partners, Patrick and John, finally said that was it. This was about 3 months ago. They told blank person to stop, and he has not been involved since. Eric and the two wogs consulted an attorney, as now they say he owes him $43,000, and they are apparently now working out how to pay him off and fully sever their ties with him. The PT scene, that just means the current. PT stands for present time. Scientologists love to talk about present time. The PT scene is that Eric is working with an attorney to review how to pay him off. They don't want to pay the full $43,000 blank person says they owe him, but they don't want trouble from him either. Eric says his connection to him is now on handling this money situation. Mark Headley also has been involved in some equipment purchases and installation cycles related to Blank Person a few months ago, but he is not involved anymore. Mark is closely connected to Blank Person, and Blank Person is mad at Eric for getting rid of him off Blank Company. So there is less calm now between Mark and Eric as well. Okay, so yeah. So basically, I was working with Eric and I was working with this Blank Person. And then the Blank Person and Eric had a falling out, and then he stopped working there. But I was still doing all the stuff that I was doing regardless. And Eric also is kind of painting a little picture, like he says, so there is less calm now between Mark and Eric as well. That means communication. But I would see Eric every single day. I would talk to him all the time. And we would go out at night. We'd go to eat. We'd go to dinners on the weekends. And I would see him all the time. So he's painting a little bit of a picture for Scientology so that he doesn't get in trouble. And that kind of is a continuous theme throughout a bunch of these documents. Okay, let's go to the next page. Otherwise, Eric said that Blank Person still works at Blank and that Blank Person is working there with him. Blank Person number 2 is working there with him. That's a whole nother Blank Person. Eric said that Blank Person and Mark are working together on some other work that Claire was doing with Ellen Prager. That's another just ex-Sea Org member that used to be at the Ent base. When they first moved to LA last year, Ellen no longer does this, and that Blank Person is involved in Mark's new company. Eric said that he didn't know what Blank Work was and didn't want to know the name of the new company, but it was some kind of multimedia company that does installation work. We know that this is Mode. So Scientology's been stealing my trash every week. So they know what the company name is. They know all that. And also, Eric 100% knew all about this. Eric also said that Blank Person and Mark do installation jobs for another Blank company. The last thing that Eric told me was that he knows that doing anything with Blank Person was a bad move, and he regrets having done it. He said that he also doesn't know what the deal is with Mark. He claims he is cutting his line entirely with Blank Person and has little to do with Mark, as he doesn't talk about handling his scene with the church at all. Neither did Eric. Eric said that he spoke with Claire 3 weeks ago as she was helping him do a refi on his house, and she mentioned that she wanted to handle her scene with the church. This was the last time she mentioned this to him. Claire was a real estate agent when we first moved back to California. He also said that Matt and Suzette have told him that they definitely want to get through their steps and back into good standing. Much love, Kirsten, External Security Chief, OSA Int. Okay, so basically Eric is putting on a little show for Kirsten. Eric's mother is a Scientologist. And at this time, Eric was declared a suppressive person. When he first escaped, they told him if he came back and got his sec check, his security check, his interrogation on the e-meter, if he did his sec check and he basically routed out properly, that's basically when you confess all your crimes and tell them a bunch of dirt they can use on you, so that if you do speak out, they can use that dirt against you. So they told him if he came back after escaping, they tracked him down. He was in Las Vegas living with his brother. They said, if you come back, route out properly and get a sec check, then we won't declare you a suppressive person and you'll still be able to talk to your mom. And so he did all that, and he was waiting for that to be approved. And he was back in Los Angeles, or he was going between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. And they just declared him anyway. When he was all done, they just said, oh, never mind. You're declared an SP. You can't talk to your mom. So he was really mad about that. And then, so if he knows how the game is played. So if he works for OSA, then they'll undeclare him, because otherwise he can just be like, no, I'm not going to do anything for you. So if he wants to talk to his mom, he's got to work and give them some goods. But at the same time, he doesn't want to be, he can't be too in bed with the enemies, because then they're going to be like, they're going to do the same thing again. They're going to use all the data from him, and then they're going to say, oh, never mind, you're still declared. So he's got to kind of he's got to be a double agent, basically. And this right here, I think, is the beginning of his double agent career, which he goes on to have a long and illustrious career as a double agent as the years go on. Okay, the next document. So this is amazing, because if you've listened to the other Spy Files videos, there's a video there's actually two videos that are floating around at this time. One is a video of Tom Cruise in a black turtleneck, and he's being interviewed for an event called the International Association of Scientologists. And this event, every year they give a thing called the Freedom Medal Award, the Religious Freedom Medal Award, or Medal of Freedom, whatever. It's a Scientology medal, and it's on a necklace or a lanyard or whatever, and a ribbon, and it's a big gold thing like this. Well, in 2004, Tom Cruise got one of those, but it was called the Freedom Medal of Valor, and it was a giant one. It looked like what's that guy, Flava Flav? It looked like a Flava Flav clock, and that's what Tom Cruise got. Well, when he got that award, we shot a video for it, and that I should do a whole video on that, because we actually shot 3 videos, and that video that you've seen on the internet with Tom Cruise talking all kinds of Scientology craziness, wearing the black turtleneck, that's the video that David Miscavige micromanaged and edited within an inch of its life, and that's the actual video that you see on YouTube. And I'll put a link to one of them in the description if they're still online somewhere. But regardless, that video ended up making the rounds. So at the time, Scientology knows that video is kind of floating around. And then there's another video, and it's also from 2004, where Tom Cruise had a birthday party aboard the Free Winds, which is the Scientology cruise ship that's located in the Caribbean, that sails around the Caribbean. They threw about a $500,000 birthday party for Tom Cruise on that cruise ship, with only the most elite circle of David Miscavige and Tom Cruise allowed to attend this thing. And that there's a video of that entire birthday party. It was basically a performance of all of Tom Cruise's hit, the hit or the theme songs from all his hit movies in the last 15 years. This was in 2004. They performed, the Golden Era musicians performed each one of those songs. So they did old time rock and roll. They did songs from Interview with the Vampire, and they played the Top Gun thing with the crazy guitar solo by one of the Golden Era musician guys. Anyway, they put on a whole concert. If you read my book, I literally detail every single song, who sang it, which one it was, which movie it was from, the whole thing. I want to say there's a whole chapter in the book about it. Anyway, so the Scientology know that these 2 videos are floating around, and they think that I'm the one that's going to leak them, and I'm the one who has them, because I would have 100% had access to them, because I worked on both of them, and I was out and about causing trouble, wreaking havoc on the internet. And the funny thing is that in the end, the other people ended up leaking these videos. And I didn't even know these people at the time. So there was multiple copies of these things floating around. And it was like Scientology was playing whack-a-mole with these videos, because every time they think they'd figure out who had it, somebody else would pop up with it. So in this document, they basically find out from Inside Edition is one of the people that I spoke to about possibly using this video. And they were going to pay me $15,000 to give them this video. But they play this game with Scientology, and that is they call Scientology Inside Edition, and they say, "Hey, we got this video. We're gonna use it." And so Scientology has to figure out what are they going to do. If they go crazy on Inside Edition. Inside Edition might just say, okay, forget you. We're just going to run it. Or do they say, we're going to sue you? We're going to do all this. But it's like, how can you sue us? Somebody had a video and they gave it to us. Well, anyway. So in this case, Inside Edition decided, hey, listen, we don't want any trouble with you guys, but we do want to air this video. And we're probably going to air this video. And so Scientology, specifically Corinne Powell and Mike Rinder, said, well, you can air the video. We'll let you air the video. That's not a problem. But you got to tell us who gave you the video. And Inside Edition, they don't want to do that either. So, and I didn't want to do that. So I was just like, oh, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Anyway, so now in this document, there's a new development in the video hunting. Okay, so this is 2 May 2006. It says confidential, eyes only. WDC OSA, DCO external OSA int. BFG. Dear Sir, attached is the memo from Elliot concerning the crime by MH. He confirms that what we know that MH did was a crime. One piece of hot information just gotten, which I am checking out, but sending to you now just in case this name means anything to you. A resource of ours with a line to Inside Edition in New York came back with this information. Per Inside Edition records, the person who offered footage identified himself as Rick Strickland. He did not want to leave a phone number. He gave an email address of R. Strickland at findnot.com. This is an anonymous remailer. Strickland, quote unquote, was offered $15,000, but the deal never went through. I believe this data is legit, and I am checking to see what we can figure out about this name. There is nothing in our data files on this name, but there are over 100 people in the U.S. with this name. Much love, Linda. Okay, so I've never heard of Rick Strickland. I don't know who Rick Strickland is. I don't know anything about any of this, but I think it's hilarious that there's a whole nother person that has a copy of this video, and they are also trying to give it to Inside Edition, and Inside Edition's going to give them $15,000 for it. So, anyway, and Scientology have no clue. And even to this day, I don't know if anybody knows whatever happened with this guy or where he came from or where he went. Okay, now this is the document from Elliot Abelson. And Elliot Abelson is an attorney that works with Scientology, and he is not a Scientologist. And the funny thing about this document is OSA and the lawyers, they only have the information that has been given to them. So they don't know that I got approval to sell the equipment. They don't know the equipment that I was going to sell was in a dumpster, and I took it out of a dumpster and then sold it. So Elliot and OSA, they're working up this whole thing like, oh, we can sue him because he committed this crime, but they don't have any of the actual facts regarding what happened. They only know what's been told to them by the people at the Imp base. So basically, they're doing a bunch of busy work trying to get a case together, and the people at the base know there's no case. There's nothing that's ever going to happen to this because that stuff was in the garbage. He took a bunch of trash out of the garbage and sold it. So memorandum to Linda Hamill from Elliot Abelson. Mark Headley, sale of church equipment on eBay by Headley in December of 2004, January 2005. Date, May 2, 2006. Headley is in violation of Penal Code 503, embezzlement. Embezzlement is the fraudulent appropriation of property by a person to whom it had been entrusted. Embezzlement by statute is punishable in the same way that grand theft, a violation of Penal Code 487, is punished. That punishment is 16 months, 2 years or 3 years in state prison, or up to 1 year in the county jail. To the extent there is any issue of the entrustment of the property to Headley, Penal Code 487 grand theft is appropriate. Grand theft is defined as the taking of another person's property with the value over $400 and is punishable by 16 months, 2 years or 3 years in state prison or up to 1 year in the county jail. The district attorney, if he agreed to file the charges, would file embezzlement and grand theft as separate counts. There appears to be no advantage to being convicted of one section as opposed to the other. As to the issue of the value of the property, the best evidence would be that he was able to sell the property for $15,490 on eBay. The fact that he attempted to or did put the money back into our account after he was being investigated would not be a defense. If the crime were to be reported, the Riverside Sheriff would be the appropriate agency. There would be some concern over the time delay in reporting the crime. However, the statute of limitations for both crimes is 3 years. We have good connections with the Riverside District Attorney who would have discretion in filing the case. They would take into consideration the amount of money at issue, the prior criminal record of the suspect, the method of theft, the strength of the evidence, and the delay. The fact that this was an inside job and against a church would work to our advantage. The personal relationship we have with the district attorney is very helpful. And that's the end of that document. Now, there's a few things that are kind of crazy about this, besides the fact that they're going to try to charge me with grand theft and embezzlement for equipment that I dug out of the garbage and then ended up selling for $15,000. Can you imagine if somebody went through your garbage and made $15K off of it? That person is a rock star. I know, right? Anyway, so they've got this relationship with the district attorney in Riverside County. So the international headquarters is located it's actually its own city, but it's called Gilman Hot Springs, California, and it's in the middle of the desert. Now, it is located in Riverside County. So it's kind of insane when you think about it that Scientology has so many things to worry about at that Riverside District Attorney office that they've established good connections with the law enforcement and the Riverside District Attorney, because they know that there's going to be a lot of craziness happening from all the people that are escaping and the accidents that are happening and the people that were being killed or died or committed. They unalived themselves at the property. So it's another one of these things where Scientology, people ask all the time when I'm talking about these things that happen in Scientology, and they go, how is this not known about by law enforcement? And how are they not being prosecuted? It's because Scientology spends millions and millions and millions of dollars on lawyers and on getting connected with politicians and law enforcement and all these types of people. And so when something goes sideways, they call up their buddy and their buddy makes it disappear. And it's the attorney, the Scientology attorney, that is saying all this. So Scientology, even if it was like, oh, they were in with the district attorney and law enforcement. Well, who was? Oh, the private investigators were. They used to be cops. Well, the private investigators are not Scientology. That's right. They work for Scientology. So all these people are cutouts that work for Scientology. So if anything happens, they take the fall and Scientology walks away scot-free. You know, Scientology, when they opened these organizations in Los Angeles, and there's a document coming up where they select Karen Bass as one of the possible people that they will infiltrate and get onto their side so that she can be basically a promoter and a supporter of Scientology. But what they do is they get these politicians involved with them, and then when they open one of these organizations, they use that politician to open the organization, and that person gives a speech that in most cases they write for them. The politician reads the speech and they shake hands with everybody, and they get to meet up with Tom Cruise or John Travolta, and they get to shake hands with all the cool Scientologists. And then Scientology used that in a video that they show to all their people, and it makes it look like Scientology is expanding everywhere and the politicians love them and all that good stuff. And then when that video makes it into the outside world, and basically the politician is the one who takes the hit. And Scientology is like, whatever, they already showed it. They already got the juice out of having that connection to that person, so they're fine. Well, one of the other things they use these events for, and they use these opportunities for, is so they can schmooze with these district attorneys, and they can schmooze with these law enforcement people, and anyone who basically is in charge of what happens to them when Scientology gets in trouble. So, it's kind of just like more of the same. And you'll be able to, I'll go through some of these other documents that we have, but this is a sort of a recurring theme throughout almost all of the spy files, is that when somebody doesn't want to work with Scientology, they start to dig into that person and expose them. And then that serves as an example for the next guy. So it's like, oh yeah, Joe Blow didn't want to work with us, and look what happened to Joe Blow. So maybe you come over and we'll let you tour our facilities or whatever. And then the politician's like, yikes. And that's another thing that Scientology really, really utilizes, is if you've got secrets, Scientology is going to find out what those secrets are. And that's how they get these people to work with them. It's not because they're awesome. It's because the people are afraid of Scientology. They don't, in a lot of cases, they don't want to mess with Scientology. They already have enough drama in their life that they don't need Scientology drama in their life. That's another kind of crazy. And so Scientology really use leverage, blackmail, sort of outing people. And it's almost like we're good. And if we're not good, they're like, are we not good? Because, we don't want to not be good. And then the politician's like, oh, no, we're fine. I'll talk to blah, 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 or, whatever it is. So you're going to see that in a lot of these documents. And it really kind of shows you how Scientology has gotten to where it's gotten. And a lot of it is through this Office of Special Affairs. These guys are like they're making deals, and they're making things go away, and they're getting people to sweep things under the rug for them. Okay, so the next page, this is the very last page here. And this is from Mike Rinder back to the deputy commanding officer at OSA Int. And it says, urgent, DCOE OSA Int, 2 May, Dear Linda, I've never heard the name. I suggest you check Matt and Eric Geisler and see if they have heard of it. If it is a pseudonym, can the data about the contact be used? Can't believe we could not have gotten this name weeks ago when we were quote unquote trying to get to the bottom of this. Love, and then it doesn't say anything. So Mike evidently was not too excited about finding out that there's a new player in this whole scheme of things. Also, guys, if you want to find out more about Scientology and all the craziness that happens at the international headquarters, you can go to blownforgood.com and you can get a signed copy, a paperback or a hardback from blownforgood.com. Any copies that are bought via blownforgood.com are both signed by my wife and myself. And then otherwise, you can go to Amazon. You can get them on my book on Kindle. You can get it on Audible. And you can pretty much get it where there's any place that sells ebooks. And the name of the book is Blown for Good, Behind the Iron Curtain of Scientology. Additionally, if you are interested in finding out more about any of these kind of things, or even more about the spy files of Scientology, you can click subscribe in below, and you can get notified. You can click the bell icon and you can get notified when I put out new videos. Thank you very much. Until next time.